Welcome everyone to our Multimedia SIG for what is this, October the 28th, the last Monday of October. So far, we have no videos to show.
Yeah, well, we got Gene.
Today. We got Gene, he can tell stories, so it's gonna be storytelling time, so
Can you airdrop or AirPlay from the phone to the TV? Does anybody?
probably somebody could. I haven't tried to do that. And do Zoom.
All you need is the cord to go from here to the USB cord. Yeah, and I've got the thing on my laptop, which is in the car.
I would have brought it up on the way.
Well, that's what we're hearing from everyone.
Yeah.
And everything.
Two carriers.
That was your water bottle.
Brings out a carrier.
Okay, sorry.
So we're, I'm gonna start the program with telling a story about my trip to Utah here at the beginning of last month. That was a fabulous trip. So this trip was, quite frankly, completely planned out. I used photo pills to schedule out each day, so I knew when the sun would come up, when the sun would set, when the moon, the Milky Way. I mean, just photo pills. If you're not familiar, it's an app that you schedule. You literally can go onto the planet Earth and pinpoint where you want to be. So if you one of the places I visited was a place called Grosvenor's Arch. Grosvenor was one of the founders of National Geographic, and he sent an expedition out to the Escalante staircase in the early 30s, and they came across this arch out there and named it after him. So on photo pills, I can get to Grosvenor's Arch and I could say, okay, you know, what time sunrise? And it tells me, and it gives me all the specific latitude, longitude, everything about it and everything. And you can move the pin around so you can pinpoint yourself exactly where you need to be to get that sun coming up through the arch or things to that nature. So I kind of had plans for this week because I've been thinking about this since June when I was last up there. So anyhow, very well planned out. As some of the folks here heard in the beginning, just before I left, I heard that they were doing the condor release up in Vermilion Cliffs. It only happens one day a year. They were releasing 4 condors, and I wanted to see that because I've been to the site where they launched them. So I go leave a day early and camp out at Marble Canyon, Lee's Landing. It's where the ferry used to cross back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The only crossing for 400 some miles. Quite a story. I'm actually working on a video about Lee's Landing and the Lonely Dell Ranch that was there and his whole story. I read the book about it. So that worked out well because I wanted to do sunrise and sunset, do like time-lapse photography there to get that, do some drone stuff, so, and do some astrophotography. So Thursday night, I do the astrophotography. I'm pretty happy with it for myself, and get everything all put away in my truck and getting ready to hop into the tent for the night. And for those of you who've ever done any tent camping and everything, it's a real pain in the ass to have to get up in the middle of the night and get out of your tent to go do your business. So, you know,
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
so the restroom, it's about 100 yards away. This is a dark sky area. There's like 140-watt yellow bulb there, so you can see it. I can see it off in the distance, and
Nothing in between.
Nothing. Well, roadway in between for the most part. So I decided, okay, let me go down there one last time before getting in the tent. And I'm walking down there. I had a headlamp on. It stopped working on me, and I took it off. I'm pressing the buttons. I open it up. I roll the batteries around, and I don't get anything. I literally can't see my hand in front of me, and they have randomly placed cement curbs to keep people from just pulling off anywhere. Well, this is, my knee is the result of what you can see. That's 4 weeks. That's 4 weeks old. Both my forearms got all scraped up. My jaw got scraped up. I had gravel embedded in my hand that I had to dig out. So that turned out to be not so fun. But then got up the next morning because the condors are going to be released at noon. I had no idea what to expect. I mean,
So
this
were
is,
you, I mean, I've been there, but.
you know where Red Rock Road is?
Yeah,
Okay, it's right off that. You drive up Red Rock Road, it's several miles. And so what, in my mind,
they're
what
right up on top of the cliffs there,
yes,
where their pens are.
yes, yes. So in my mind, what I was thinking is like, it's because there are 4 condors going to be released. So I thought, on some big flatbed truck, they would have, these cages with the condors in to release them. No, they take the cages up to the top of the cliff, which is about a mile away. At first I had my 300mm lens. I could see nothing. So then I got my 600mm lens and I could zoom in on the cages. So they have people from different organizations talking about, saving the condors and things of that nature. There's apparently, to the best of their count, there's 89 of them in that 4 corners area. And so it's getting to noon. So the guy's up there and he says, okay, we're going to do this countdown together. And at 12 o'clock, we're opening the gates to all 4 cages. So we all count down to 0. They open the gates and nothing. They're nothing. I mean, these birds literally have been in captivity. They're about 18 months old. Nothing. I mean, I wait till 1 o'clock. Not one of these birds has even tried to come out and take a peek to see what it was and everything. Well, it was 105 degrees and I'd already been there 3 hours and I was like, I'm done. And that's so.
So the condors are still there in the cave.
They eventually, I mean, I YouTubed it. Actually, this is really funny because I did put a couple pictures of the group of people on my Facebook page, and one of my friends from back in Pennsylvania, their niece is one of the people involved with it, and she sent me some pictures of her niece there with her, condor shirt on and everything that's involved with the organization. But for me to see them now, there were some condors flying around. So as any of you who've ever done any birding, trying to catch a bird in flight is, especially with a telephoto, is not a easy thing to do. But I did get a couple shots of condors and everything, just none of the ones. So what I read was by 4 o'clock, the last one had come out of the cage and everything. And I just wasn't really ready, willing, and wanting to spend another 3 hours there to
At 105 degrees.
yeah. So then the next day I drove up to Bryce Canyon where my grandson's working. We had 3 wonderful days together, watched sunrises and sunsets, and did time lapse and all kind of things. So I traveled that Highway 12. It's 122 miles long, spending the whole week. There's one part in particular that I think is pretty interesting and everything, and that's the stretch between the town of Escalante and the town of Boulder, Utah. The claim to fame for Boulder, Utah, it was the last town in the United States, in continental United States, to get a zip code and get mail delivery. Prior to that, they got mail delivery once a week by mule train. So back in the 30s, the CCC built a road over Boulder Mountain to get from Escalante to Boulder. It's a lot of switchbacks and everything. And about, I'm going to say 3/4 of the way up Boulder Mountain, there's a fissure in the mountain. It literally has cracked apart and drops down several hundred feet. And so the CCC built a bridge there. They hired one of the farmers to come up with his tractor, and they cut down these ponderosa pines because this gap's only about 40 foot wide. To lay these ponderosa pines down across, and then they would put planks to continue this road over to Boulder. They did that, but they were afraid that if these logs didn't sit down in the right place or anything, that if they fell down into the canyon, they were taking the tractor. So they tied a rope around the farmer's waste, just in case the tractor went over too. But it's pretty interesting. I almost lost my drone there, because I wanted to fly the drone below the level and underneath the bridge and everything. And I lost radio signal with it. And then I was telling some of these folks earlier, I just started walking around, press return to home. I was hoping that I got somewhere that somehow it picked up a signal, and it did come back. So I was able to retrieve the drone, but I didn't actually get the shots. So what I typically do, and here's a lesson that we probably all know, but sometimes don't follow. What I typically do is when I get back to the end of the day, I take the SD card out of the equipment and everything and put it into my laptop, and then I have an SSD and load the stuff in. Card's empty for the next day. That worked fine. I get back home and I check everything on my desktop computer, and everything's there. And I don't know, this just may have nothing to do with this whatsoever, but I talked before about there's a program called Google Earth Studio. And so I went on to Google Earth Studio, and like I said, Highway 12 is only 122 miles long. So I did this aerial video from the start of Highway 12 all the way past Bryce Canyon and Kodachrome and all these state parks over to Capitol Reef National Park. It's like a 1-minute video that, in my mind, what I'm looking at is, when I get to Red Canyon, I'll pause it there and show the stuff from there and just keep moving down the road and everything. I loaded that onto my folder where I keep everything for this particular trip. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to start going through all the photos to edit them, pick out the ones I want to put in, and said the folder's empty. And there was nothing, absolutely not, just a blank folder. When I clicked on properties, it said 0. I tried a few things, this recover from the SD card or the SSD. I was not successful. I talked to Kevin. Kevin helped me last Friday. He actually took the SSD. He had some software that he was able to go onto it, and he was able to get most of the drone and GoPro that I did. No photos. He said, they're corrupt. There's nothing there. I can't get them. So the lesson that we all know is save it in more than one place. And Kevin said what he does when he gets back from his shoots each day is he'll take the card and he loads it onto 2 different SSDs. So that's 2 backups. And then he puts that card away and puts a new card in the camera, and keeps the SD card, until he gets back and makes sure that everything is okay. So I didn't do that. I saved it in one place.
But SSD cards are kind of expensive, right?
Well, it depends on the ones that you get. Yeah, and then that's the key to them and everything. I mean, the one SD card that I use in my camera, it's specifically designed for shooting video. So it writes fast. It's only 64 gigabytes, but it's like $100 or so.
Well, I mean, if you take each one and set it aside.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
my daughter buys these, I'm kidding, 14.9, whatever it is, you get a whole pack.
Yeah.
From Amazon. And I was over at her house and I opened up a drawer on her desk where I was working, and I saw all these SD cards on the rack. And I said, Kim, why do you have all those SD cards? She said, oh, they're my negatives. She said, I have the cards, they're cheap enough. She said, I put them on the computer, but I saved those, they're my negatives. And so I'm serious when I said 14.95 card. I'll bet when you buy a bunch of them, they're not, they're not really fast. They're just there.
Well, that's why this one card in my Canon, it is specifically designed for video shooting.
Well, I was gonna ask another thing then. Are those SSD cards, some are for photo, some are for video?
No, they can use for both, but when you're taking a photograph, it's just that moment. where when you're shooting video, it's reading constantly.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Phil, can you add anything to that?
No.
Yeah.
I'll take you as there.
If you don't use a fast video card, you're not gonna get a good video.
What do you mean a fast video card?
Well, it writes, there's levels of how fast the card can actually read.
Oh.
And as an example, the nomenclature of some of the cards, it'll show B30, B60, B90.
Okay,
And the higher number you go, the better quality your video is going to be.
seems like I've always got V30, that's really low, isn't it?
It's pretty low, and some cameras, it will not record video at all.
Okay,
So you have to make sure that you read about your camera and what it is.
well, I just use the phone.
I'm gonna take you a step further with that. For the people using, you can, I don't know the procedure for doing it with an iPhone. But the upper end Android phones will link directly to Google Photos. So when I shoot, the next time I've got mine set up, so the next time I'm on wireless, it automatically uploads everything I shot to Google Photos. And they're full quality, they're beautiful. And I've had a surprise because we hitting around about switching over to using your phone. And I got a great birthday present last year of a Google Pixel phone, and I'm fascinated with it. And when I was doing my twin graduation pictures for my twin granddaughters, and I was shooting on my Canon DSLR, like you know, nice shots. We did some outdoor stuff, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, let me shoot some stuff on the phone just to see the difference. So I shot the same graduation pictures on the Canon and on the phone. And then I gave the girls, I said, pick out about 20 pictures, I'll edit them, make you up some of what you need. I got the pictures back more than half what they picked on the phone. And I quizzed them as to why, you know. Well, they weren't sure the color was better, I don't know. But they made great enlargements, everything worked. So then I played with video in it. Oh my God, the video's incredible. There's no other word for it. So I called my grandson, who's a Google exec, and I said, how the hell can this phone take this quality of video? Because I was really impressed with it. He said, well, we use the same Canon chip that they use in their upper end point and shoot cameras in the phone.
No, wow.
So, you know, I'm telling this story to say the technology of the phones is rapidly getting there, you know.
Yeah.
And I filmed some stuff only on my phone this week. And when I get it all edited, it'll be interesting. I had a friend who's one of the cat ladies in Green Valley that stands out in the corner on Saturday mornings and fights with the drumster. So she asked me to do a video. So I showed up last Saturday morning and all I shot was on the camera with a gimbal, on the phone with a gimbal. The pictures look great. I'm gonna edit them out and see. Which brings me to the last thing, and I'll shut up. Have you gone to Google Labs and have you seen the new notebook, Alan?
I'm gonna talk about that.
Okay, yeah. Oh my
I'm gonna talk about
God.
that. Thanks
There's
to Mike.
no word.
Mike showed that to me here last week, and it piqued my interest, so I went and played with it. In fact, I can go ahead and give that demonstration now.
I met this little gal who did VLM and got the podcast, you know, voices. And she put them all over on Audacity, and she separated the female from the male manually. I mean, she literally had to go through and put them in. And then she separated them out and made an avatar for each one.
Yeah, yeah.
My God, where are we going with this?
So, well, at breakneck speed. But so what Gene's talking about, and Mike showed me last week. So this is on Google. It's Google Notebook LM, the letter L, the letter M. And what you can do is you can download like your YouTube video, or you can type text in to the box, and then it takes it and makes an audio file out of it. And these folks who, I mean, this is all AI generated, and it's
human voice quality.
yes,
It really is.
the voice.
It does not
yeah.
sound AI generated.
Well, let me
While he's doing that, I'll tell you another horror story. We were just on a trip to Mexico, Santa Fe, etc. I get home, I did have some computer problems. I had my computer repaired. I opened Lightroom to insert the pictures. And something happened, I have no idea. And I can't find my picture, so I take the card, put it back in and just open the card and it says, no photos. Well, my camera, I could have set it up so I could record on 2 different cards. And I didn't, because I always use it in case this one gets full, go to the second one. Well, in this case, I should have doubled up. Anyway, I'm gonna come in and try it. We have a program on the computer that will find photos possibly.
Well, I'm gonna bring my card in this afternoon, and try to see if I can recover off the SD card, because allegedly any of the photos or video you shoot always remains on that card, even though you may delete it or transfer it or something.
The way that works is when you take pictures, it's like a table of contents of a book, okay? And what happens is when you're all done, you take your photos off, even if you don't, as long as you don't take another picture, it's like somebody tore out the table of contents. The book is still there, but it doesn't see anything because the table of contents is gone. So you can go in and use one of those programs. The pictures are still there, and what it does is it writes over the pictures. Each time, it doesn't get rid of everything, it just writes over.
Unless you format the card.
Yes, if you format the
Then it's gone.
SSD or card, it's gone.
As long as you don't take another picture, you can go in and attempt to get those pictures out.
So that's as long as you haven't taken another picture?
Yeah, because if you take another picture, it'll overwrite.
Well, then mine are gone. Because I used the same card.
Override all of
The-
it. So
the
override
shoot.
Thanks for that photo.
More pictures.
Yeah, my trip to New Mexico and Colorado.
Yeah. Well, you can still try.
Yeah, we'll
I
try.
might find a few.
Hey, Todd, New Mexico's still there,
Yes, so is Utah.
so you can go back.
Yeah, and New Mexico, I'm okay with. I have all that. Utah's where I need to go back. So what I did based on this Google Notebook LM, I downloaded one of my videos. It's the one I did on the Kidzu Bridge, for those of you who remember that. So I'm going to show that first because it's my narration. It's not even 4 minutes long. And then I took that off of YouTube and downloaded it into this Notebook LM and pressed the button for this guy and gal to redo my audio. And I will play that then afterwards. It's just audio. There's no video to the second one. But this was the original.
The word Kinzua comes from the Native American Seneca Nation language meaning fish speared there. Understandable with all the freshwater streams and lakes in that part of our country, these rolling hills in northwestern Pennsylvania are a part of the Appalachian Mountain Range that stretches from Newfoundland, Canada to Alabama. As our country was growing post-Civil War, the need for raw materials to get market like coal, lumber, and oil caused the railroads to compete for those growing needs. Speaking of growing needs, the town of Titusville, Pennsylvania, where the first oil well was drilled in our country, is nearby and a cool museum. Civil War General Thomas Kane was president of the New York, Lake Erie, and Western Coal and Railroad Company and decided to run a line from Buffalo, New York into the wilderness of northwestern Pennsylvania to meet those demanding needs. When his civil engineer laid out a proposed route, he gave 2 options for that part of his line. One was to lay 8 more miles of track over very difficult terrain or build a viaduct over the Kinzua Creek Valley. General Kane chose the latter. Workers placed a cornerstone on September 8, 1881, and ironwork began on April 10, 1882. 40 men labored for 94 days to fabricate 20 wrought iron towers, the tallest being 301 feet. The viaduct itself spanned 2,053 feet and cost $167,000. At the time, it was the highest and longest railroad bridge in the world. By the turn of the century, growing train weights made the bridge obsolete, and in the summer of 1900, workers replaced the wrought iron towers with steel ones. With about 120 iron workers, the bridge was replaced and reopened on September 25, 1900. As a footnote, in 1977, the American Society of Civil Engineers added the bridge to the National Register of Historic Civil Engineering Landmarks. As trains became larger and heavier in the late 1950s, the bridge was considered obsolete and sold to a scrap dealer. The scrap dealer, knowing the bridge had historic value, sold the bridge to the state of Pennsylvania, and in 1970, it became a state park. Between 1986 and 2002, the Knox and Kane Railroad began running tourist trains in the area during the summer and fall. They carried about 20,000 passengers a year over the viaduct until state officials noticed structural deterioration and closed the bridge for repairs. Emergency repairs had been partially completed when an F1 tornado came up the Kinzua Creek Valley and toppled 11 of the tallest towers and 23 of the 41 spans into the valley below, all in 30 seconds, leaving a 1,400-foot gap in the viaduct. The state shored up what remained of the viaduct, and today pedestrians can walk out about 600 feet on the viaduct and view what remains of the destroyed structure. If you ever find yourself traveling through northwestern Pennsylvania, it's definitely worth a visit.
That was,
Wow, well done.
thank you. That was the video that I did. It is a cool place to see. It's pretty interesting in the fact that that F1 tornado in 30 seconds just wiped it out. So then I put it into, and this is just going to be audio.
Ever heard of a bridge so tall it was once the highest in the world?
Taller than the Eiffel Tower even for a time.
And get this, it was built way back in the 1800s.
When they had those massive cranes and all.
We're talking pure manpower and ingenuity.
Oh yeah,
And then poof, gone, taken out by a tornado.
just like that.
The Kinzua Viaduct, folks.
Yeah.
That's what we're diving deep into today.
A true story of, well, ambition, I guess you could say. Progress.
Yeah.
And just how powerful Mother Nature can be.
Exactly. Today we're talking about the Kinzua Viaduct. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, let's set the scene a bit.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
We're talking northwestern Pennsylvania.
Deep in the Kinzua Creek Valley,
Picture dense forests, rolling hills.
a bit wild still.
This is right after the Civil War. America's
No,
booming,
industries are exploding, yeah.
especially things like coal, lumber, oil.
All that good stuff.
But there's a problem.
Getting it all from point A to point B.
Bingo. They needed a way to transport all these resources. And let me tell you, they did not have it easy.
No kidding. I mean, think about it. No monster trucks, no bulldozers,
Not even close.
just pure grit and determination.
It's 1882 when this incredible structure takes shape.
20 towers of wrought iron,
The tallest one.
103 feet.
That's like 10 stories high.
Pretty impressive for the time.
Totally. The whole thing stretched over 2,000 feet.
Longest and highest railroad bridge in the world at that point.
It's mind blowing to think they pulled it off.
Right. Like, picture those guys up there hammering away.
Talk about a tough job.
And dangerous, too. I mean, heights, heavy materials.
But they built it to last.
For a while, yeah.
So what happened? Why isn't this thing still standing today?
Well, like everything, things change. Time marches on. Technology advances. And what was once cutting edge becomes
Outdated.
exactly.
But you can't just toss a bridge like this aside.
No, not so easily.
So what do?
Well, the demand for transporting stuff just kept growing, right?
Sure.
heavier trains, bigger loads.
And wrought iron wasn't up to the task anymore.
You got it,
Okay, so what did they do? Build a whole new bridge.
basically. By 1900, they realized they needed something stronger.
Enter steel.
Exactly. Steel was the new hotness back then. Stronger, more durable.
So they decided to, wait a minute, replace the entire bridge with steel.
The whole thing. Can you imagine the undertaking?
That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
You think, but they did it. 120 ironworkers,
Wow, must have been a sight to see.
all working tirelessly to replace those iron towers with steel ones.
How long did that take?
Just 94 days.
94 days.
Less than 3 months. It's incredible. I mean, the scale, the speed.
It really shows how much progress was happening back then. New technologies, new techniques.
Absolutely. But the Kinzua Viaduct story takes another turn.
It does. What happens next?
Even the strongest structures can't stand up to everything.
What are you getting at?
Time, for one, and Mother Nature. The Kinzua Viaduct carried those massive trains for decades.
It did its job.
Oh, it did. But by the late 1950s,
Oh, here we go.
trains got even bigger, exceeding what the bridge could handle.
So they just tore it down.
Almost.
Really? Come on, they were just gonna scrap it after all that.
It came close. There was this scrap dealer who was all set to dismantle it.
Oh man, that would have been a shame.
It would have. But here's the twist.
He changed his mind.
He realized what a piece of history it was. So instead of scrapping it,
Yeah,
he sold it to the state of Pennsylvania.
talk about a close call.
Hmm.
What a good guy, that scrap dealer.
A true hero for historical preservation.
Totally. So what happened to the bridge then?
It got a new lease on life. In 1970, they turned it into a state park.
So people could go and see this incredible structure.
Exactly. They even had train rides across part of it.
No way. That's so cool.
Oh, it was a huge attraction.
But those train rides didn't last forever,
Yeah.
right? You mentioned something about a tornado.
Yes.
A tornado.
Talk about a twisted fate. It happened in 2003. They were actually doing some repairs on the bridge.
Trying to keep it standing, huh?
Exactly. But then this F1 tornado roars through the valley.
And F1, those are still pretty strong.
Oh, yeah. Winds over 100 miles an hour.
And what happened? The whole bridge went down.
Not the whole thing, but 11 of the
There's a
tallest
couple ones in
towers,
here that
those
are
got ripped apart, twisted metal.
Just wiped out in a matter of seconds, I imagine.
30 seconds, that's all it took.
Wow. A 1,400-foot gap.
No.
Just gone.
Nature's power right there.
It really makes you think, about how we try to control things, build things to last.
And then something like this comes along and in an instant.
It changes everything.
Exactly.
So what about the Kinzua Viaduct today? What's left?
It's still standing, or part of it is.
Really?
They've turned it into a kind of monument.
People can still go and visit it.
Oh, yeah. You can walk on a portion of the bridge, see those twisted towers, the wreckage.
I bet that's a pretty powerful sight.
Oh, it is. It really makes you think about, well, everything we've been talking about.
Progress, nature, our place in it all.
Exactly. It makes you wonder what structures we have today that might face a similar fate, huh?
That's a good point. And what will we choose to preserve? And how? It's a lot to think about.
It is. And I think that's the beauty of the Kinzua Viaduct story.
It's not just about a bridge, is it?
No, it's about human ambition, our relationship with the natural world, and the constant forces of change that shape our world.
From an engineering marvel to a symbol of nature's power. The Kinzua Viaduct, folks, a story that leaves you with a sense of awe and a whole lot to ponder.
That's it.
It changed your script though. Yeah,
What's that?
it changed your script
Oh, yeah,
completely.
changing the script,
Completely.
but
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do.
that one, yes.
That's what you wanted them to do.
Well, I just clicked on the button. I don't know what else is there yet. I've just started exploring.
Give it any instructions.
No,
No.
no.
So
Yeah, I did
last week I saw, we were here and we saw Sherry Lee's.
Yeah.
And I got up in the morning and there's this thing called Notebook LM and I uploaded her 15-minute rant video. And I'm just gonna play this, just a quick little blurb on how this sounds here. I can find it now. But it's the same voices. It's just amazing that, what these guys are able to do, this AI stuff today, this avatar stuff you were talking about.
I know. When you're done, I'll tell you.
Brands today.
This
You
is the-
sent over some amazing travel footage, a trip with overseas adventure travel. And this is not like your typical, let's all point at the Eiffel Tower kind of thing.
No, I don't know.
We're talking hidden gems here. The quirky stuff most tourists
Yeah,
miss.
it was all Sherry Lee's,
See,
or her video last week, so this was 16 minutes. Yes,
But it's changed. I mean, and I only detected one mispronunciation.
Yeah, I heard other one earlier.
Did you? Absolutely.
Well, now we got,
A podcast about the video, is that?
Well, no, it's not a podcast. I mean, they're just characterizing it that way. It's just, it has, built into the system a way to rewrite and sort of personalize, in your case, you just change the whole tone of the piece.
it came out of a division of Google called Labs. And if you go online and.
I'm sorry, say again?
Labs, L-A-B-S.
Labs?
It's a division of Google where they do experimental AI work. There were all kind of rumors in California that they had an AI that was so good it thought it was alive and they had to unplug it. Now, I don't know if that story is true, the great urban legend. So I asked my grandson, who was from Google, I said, is that true? I said, I've heard it on 2 or 3 places on the internet. He said, I can't talk about that. All the Google employees have to sign a non-disclosure. I said, that's like saying yes, yeah. But he said, look Google Labs up there. This is a beta version, LM is.
Okay,
And there's another 2 or 3 of them in the works that are even more powerful. And you can find them under Google Labs. And try them out.
Excuse me for interrupting. I have a question. Does anybody here or know of anybody that develops websites? The gentleman that's out here used to come to classes with Grace, who taught the website developing. Does anybody here do that or know of anybody that?
Chuck Hill can do it.
Hmm?
Chuck Hill can do it.
Okay,
But he'll be back in another week or so.
okay, great. Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I needed.
so I mean, one of the things that I hear in this is, because I've been trying to, I want to become a better storyteller, and so I've been reading different books and watching things and, telling about, in the beginning, you want to set it up and everything. And I could see hints of that in this broadcast, how they talked about the tornado almost in the first, 10, 15 seconds or so, but then they don't come back till almost to the end. So that the tornado has something to do with this, but you don't know what until it comes.
Did you have any choice whatsoever?
All I did was
No, you just get.
I didn't do anything.
You couldn't say one
No,
woman voice, male voice.
no, just push the button.
and I bet if you did it again, I bet it would not be the same.
No. I
So
tried
it's
it.
different each time.
Yeah, I tried it. It's different each time.
Well, I tried it on, I did that short video on the prickly pear harvest. It was, again, about a 5-minute video. And they did a 14-minute narration of it.
I like yours better than AI.
Thank you. I'm better than it.
Yeah, AI is a little annoying, actually.
I could see taking a video that I made, running it through this, and then going back and taking my footage and pictures
Right.
and redoing
I'm
it
gonna-
over this camera.
I'm gonna try that. I'm working on one right now that I'm gonna type it all out. I will let them do it. And then I will come back and put in the footage and everything to kind of match, because what they did with my video, the footage wouldn't have matched. It would have made sense.
It was completely different.
Yeah. And everything, but it's another tool out there. And as far as the voices are concerned, they don't sound like they're AI generated. I mean, those voices sound pretty good. And I would suspect that Google is gonna have a lot more options for this and changing voices or just having one voice or
But they didn't have any of the pauses and human, you know.
No, they didn't, but I think that's where you get back
attributes,
to where,
Look into Google Go, they've got a couple of them in the works that have more controls over it.
yeah, but I think that's back where what Gene was saying. It's an audio track. You can take it and cut it,
That's
you know, and
Yeah.
where you want it to pause and,
right.
you know, let the image play out and everything and then pick it up. It also gives you just like a brief paragraph as to the overall of what the story is and everything. And when I did it with the prickly pear one, I actually went and read it again. It's just about a paragraph. And in YouTube, they ask you, you know, put in a description of your video and everything. And I always type in like 1 or 2 sentences or something like that. But I read what they said about my prickly pear video, and with just a little bit of editing to it and everything, I'm like, well, that's a hell of a lot better than what I wrote and everything. Copied it and pasted it on the YouTube, you know, description, and there it is. So I'll be interested to see if it helps bring more viewers
Mhm.
to it because of the description.
The other one, and I had mentioned it just in an introduction to Todd, is I watched this young lady and she did this dialogue. And then she went to Canva and she got a female avatar that moves. I don't know how to describe it. And a male one. Now, when Tom and I did this a year or 2 ago, the avatars were kind of fakey. Their quality now is just scary. You're hard pressed, and you know they're not real, but you're not sure. It's that close. And she substituted the voice pieces to the avatars all the way through this thing. And so now she has a video with them talking on screen.
So now, does the avatar pick up the audio so the mouth moves like? Wow.
And that's on YouTube. If you'd like to look, I think it's on YouTube.
Well, this is the subject of the last AFTRA strike and writer strike. What they did was they wrote into their contracts a limited use of AI. That's what they're afraid of. And this is what the producers in Hollywood want. They want to completely eliminate every actor, every voice. Even right, yeah, it's all about money.
Yeah.
They want to create films that are simply texted out, and then just the computer takes over. Here comes the avatars, here comes the voice, and then they sell it because it costs nothing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's time.
Todd,
Yes,
I
John.
was so mesmerized by the voice. I am unaware if there was any music whatsoever.
No music.
Could you have asked for it? No, you said no choices.
I just played with this for an hour or so the other morning because I was still in my funk about losing all my data from Utah that
I took one and
I've kind of been, you know, just down.
Of course, you could add music.
Yeah, I took one, brought it into Audacity, and then added a background music track on a volume of about 10, you know, so just barely, and it sounds great.
Yeah, I understand that it's not a problem to do. I just wondered if it was doing it and, you know, then you get into the whole copyright thing and everything.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know if it offers that option. Again, this is,
so this is all free.
yeah,
Yes.
Any video on YouTube, you can do that too.
Oh,
Any video.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have a little bar on the Notebook LM page. It says YouTube. You just click on it to download, it pops up and says download your file.
did I understand you to say that the length of the video is not necessarily what?
No, it's not.
No, in fact, that one right there would, so my video was just around 4 minutes. What they did was over 5 minutes.
So then what?
Well, it's just the way it is. I mean, what it does is doing all this synthesizing of the text. And it's adding humor, it's adding all these pauses and the double voice and all that kind of stuff. And that length.
Well, did you say again I don't know if I wasn't here or what, but it's just so spooky, so. So
Spectacular.
this was based,
Welcome to the world.
this audio that we heard was based on what again, please?
So I just took the video that I played first and I downloaded that, so I have it on YouTube. I downloaded it to this program and clicked the button and that's it.
Would you like the program? I don't wanna know, but,
What?
I mean, where is that program?
You get it on Google Apps. If you go to Google, if you open up anything, like you open up your mail, there's a little square up in the upper right-hand corner with dots on it. Click that. No,
It's Notebook LM is the app.
Can you show us that? Can you show us,
Notebook LM?
I'm in the dots or whatever. I don't know. Okay, it sounds too simple.
What is it?
Let's see here.
Let your AI avatar show you how to do this. It is simple, except for the code is unbelievable.
Yeah, there we go.
You can also change the playback speed on this as well. So I haven't played with any of that, but there.
Yeah, I just leave the one button.
What does LM stand for?
We don't know.
Oh.
They're not telling us.
They're not telling us.
Is it out? Yeah, I don't know that this is the one.
And also it
Yeah,
generates,
they're working at it with a new name. It'll be called Inspiration or something. It's in the works. I don't know.
with the one that I uploaded, Sherry Lee's, it also has suggested questions. What are the major historical, cultural, and
If you go to that
geographical
video-
highlights of Sherry Lee's?
If you go down to that video,
I mean,
the first one, what is Google on channel two?
Did you like
That's a lot.
the LM version better than Sherry Lee's?
no, neither nor. Yeah, I like her. I mean, you have the visual. I mean, that always is the best part of it, so.
And it wouldn't blink up. I mean, she just replaced her track with that. It wouldn't work, right?
No.
No, probably not, no.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do this.
Got a new AI experiment out, and it could potentially change the way that we use note-taking applications in the future. In today's video, we're going to look at something called Notebook LM. This is one of Google's new experiments, formerly called Project Tailwind. We're going to explore what it is, what it does, and a little bit more about it, so you get an idea for how it's going to change potentially apps like Google Keep in the future. So welcome, my name is Francesco. I'm excited to dive into this. I like AI, productivity, note-taking. It's all a great combination. And naturally, if you're in the hunt for productivity tools, you can do subscribe to our channel, Keep Productive, or you can check out Tool Finder, which will be linked below. So this video has been a little bit difficult to make because I'm in the UK and I'm not going to travel to the US just to get access to this. So I was very honored that one of somebody who posted about Notebook LM, Alvaro Sinpaz, he was able to record the footage for us, which was absolutely fantastic. So thank you to Alvaro to make this video possible. So you can check him out down below if you want to follow him on Twitter. He talks a lot about AI, and also he is a PhD as well in engineering. So you can find him over on Twitter, linked below. So I also heard about this through Tiago and naturally through Google's initial posts. Both of those are linked below. And essentially, this wasn't something brand new that's just been completely launched. It was called Project Tailwind before, and they had it in the Google I/O event talking about how Palm, one of Google's AI technologies that they're working on, is going into something called an API, which will allow developers access to it. But essentially, this Palm is Palm 2 is a technology that Google's using, and this is what 5 engineers did with this to create a more conversational-based note-taking experience. Now, this isn't brand new. Apps like Mem and other tools have added conversational note-taking type technologies, but Google being at almost the forefront, creeping up very fast into this whole AI world, it's super interesting to see. So here's some of the footage Alvaro shot for us, and let's dive into it. So initially, you go ahead and create a new notebook. And this essentially gives you a project to work with. And when you get started, you have to upload a source. A source is essentially a document that lives inside of your Google Drive that allows you to, well, the system will scan it, the Palm technology will scan it, and it'll basically, well, essentially be able to pick out key points and be able to make that document conversational. This is great, for example, what they initially had this for as Project Tailwind was the studying option, is being able to have almost like a conversational study assistant, which will allow students to work particularly by asking questions that they find most suitable and extracting that, as well as with quizzes, exporting notes and stuff like that. But in this example, we're uploading something, Alvaro is uploading something that essentially is about generative software. And what it does is it brings up key topics and questions that is automatically pre-created for us. Now from here, you can actually respond with a question back yourself or use one of the auto-generated ones, and also export the notes as well as copy it to the clipboard. You can upload more sources within a notebook, which means you can have multiple ones on the go, and you can ask as many questions as you find suitable. But the system is designed to answer back in all types of ways. So you can ask for positive differences or negative differences, and it will be able to ask the context of that entire document to be able to produce something. Now, how is this interesting for stuff like Google Keep? Google Keep uses technology already like image search and being able to find relevant stuff like that, which is something that already originates in Google Photos. But Google advancing this could potentially allow Google Keep to become much stronger and much more powerful. The design, although being material design, is very similar to the likes of Google Keep. And I think eventually this could be a technology that they try to leapfrog other apps with that they can embed inside of Google Keep. So this is a really interesting piece of technology. There's going to be the full article, but I wanted to give you a window inside of what this technology will do for note-taking. And it's potentially something that I think will come to a lot of note-taking applications in the future. And it's naturally the way AI is going with note-taking and productivity tools. So thank you very much, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Albert, again, for filming this footage.
You realize that guy's not real.
That guy is not real.
No, he's an avatar.
That's an avatar?
Yes, yes.
Even though the glasses are crooked, he's an avatar.
He's an avatar.
How did you pick that up?
You don't sound human.
It's not the sound.
Well, I mean, that's the sound.
They selected British accent and just a lot of things. He's not a real person.
Wow, that's weird.
Scroll down on the search. There's one with a girl.
Wow, that's bizarre.
You notice that there was it sounded, he was implying that all of this technology is not available in every country.
Yeah.
To do some of this, he would have to have gone to the United States.
I'm not about to do that.
I don't know.
I got my first, you know, when they do the copyright checks on YouTube, I got the first one they ever had. It said you can play this anywhere in the world but Russia.
Yeah, I know.
What was that all about?
I have on YouTube, it's partially blocked, some of it.
Yeah, it says I can't.
And always it's Belarus.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So here was a Notebook LM.
Well, they're not participants in the International Copyright Convention.
Oh,
Okay. Sorry.
So then I just went here and
You went where?
That's Notebook LM, that's what it looks like.
so here's where, you know, Google Drive,
This is
paste
the
text.
app you used.
So this is what I use. I just went on here, you know, pressed YouTube and then pasted the URL in from my video. And then it did that.
So do you have to have it on YouTube before it will process that, or can you actually have?
Well, you just have to have the YouTube URL video or, you know.
You can go back one, you can pick your own, go back one where you choose where. Go back one screen up. Now, when you go to pick. You can add a note, I mean, you can add. things that are-
On here.
So you could send it your own file.
I believe so, yes. Upload a source right there, and you can upload your own file off your computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How long did it take? That's
4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
I think mine took a little like this.
Should a lot less time I spend in the closet.
Well, all right, so I just, Mike showed that to me, and then Gene and I talked about it the other day, and it's just, one of these things that's happening out there that,
It's unbelievable.
yeah, I mean, and it would advance from wherever it is right now, from like a podcast type presentation to, I'm sure someday you'll just, have a narrator do whatever your audio is.
Well, podcasts are just radio shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah.
But the dual voice thing, this is something that you selected that particular one, or that was?
No, that was
just the one.
I don't know if there's any other options.
I don't know that.
But again,
I couldn't find any,
you couldn't find any other options. I'm sure that option they're working on.
Is this the first and only company that's doing this right now?
I don't think so.
No, there's several AI companies doing all kinds of.
Canva, CNVA,
Can we,
writing a lot of stuff.
could we pay for other ones? I mean, are there some with more choices that we could pay for already?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Adobe has all kinds of avatars that you can make, a scene, but make anything you want out of that. People, they're.
Well, let me get.
Not local against it.
Yeah, because I was actually, I'll just look around at different.
This one?
Yeah, generally.
The movie?
Yeah. it's
Okay.
the movie one there it is.
So.
You have to have a Google account.
Yeah.
You got a Google account.
No, it actually
You'll be able to sign. LLM.
I don't use it.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're not using the.
So I go to.
534.
It's popping up right now.
That's only if you're like a Google Chrome, though, right? If you're not on Google Chrome.
On that.
1 second.
You're not-
You do the Google Empire. They have every keystroke you've ever done.
Even if you're using Safari or,
That I'm Safari,
okay. I mean, sometimes I go to Google Chrome because Safari's not working.
And it actually tells you how many people have tried to look at it and get your information.
I've got source logs and all that.
I mix it with another one. And it'll.
Where'd it go?
Songs. I have to change.
Hold on a second.
To
Got too many things.
The sound isn't the greatest. This was shot on my iPhone. It was an impromptu kind of concert at a gathering, and this kid won the Alaska's Got Talent. He might never be in America's Got Talent in a year or so. He's deciding, he's only 18 years old. He plays the guitar. He's got a reverb and a thing that, an echo machine. So there's a lot of sound coming out of this, but it's all him. So.
Plus a lot of electronics.
Yes.
Just because it is, and it's like so fast. But also, I mix it with another one of Tommy's songs called Tall Fiddler, where about halfway through the song, I have to change tunings into the next song. And so you'll see me reach up here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going into the next song. And it's The Hunt and Tall Fiddler, both by Tommy Emmanuel, but they flow really well together in my opinion. So here's The Hunt and Tall Fiddler by Tommy Emmanuel. Thank you guys.
The videographer.
Well, I was gonna give you a quick suggestion. You gotta use that professional photography manner, and before the thing starts, you bullshit your way right into the front row.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you're down on front on your knees. If there's some pretty young lady sitting there, you can say, hey, if I sit here, you can sit on my lap now, let me shoot. And you get right in there, so you're 10 feet away. Your sound improves dramatically.
I have 3 other songs that I recorded in different spots, so I was gonna eventually put it all together, but I just thought, you're looking for something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you.
It's raw footage, very raw.
Oh, he certainly is talented.
Yeah, but the potential's there for some neat stuff.
Is he a relative?
No, it's just a guy that I met up there. He was a Boeing engineer. And he retired and started his own fastening company.
He doesn't look old enough to be.
No, that's not him. This is where this was held. Anyway, this guy made himself a whole bunch of money and bought himself 15 acres up on top of Willow. And if it was a nice day, you would have seen, and I have video from earlier, because I've been up to his house. But you can see Mount McKinley and Willow Creek, and the scene is gorgeous from up there. And he held this mini concert. He had maybe 5 or 6 people that came. And the 2 headliners came down with COVID, so that you would know them. Oh, shoot. Country star not Hobo Jim, but he was Hobo Jim's, Hobo Jim was his mentor. Anyway, I'll think of his name. He was supposed to be there, but he came down with COVID, so this guy hired a bunch of people to come in, and he wanted like a mini Woodstock on his property, and he was hoping for a great day. It was cloudy and crappy, but whatever.
So he did it in his garage.
Because it got rainy.
Little garage band.
Yeah, that was it. It was a garage band.
So would you take something like that and take some of the other images, the photos
All kinds of
that you would, let
together,
let that music in the background and
you could probably YouTube, I'll think of it. I'll get you the guy's name.
Look at on YouTube, look at Playing for Change. And you'll notice how they take the original soundtrack and lay it down and then put the musicians on top of it who aren't really playing what's on the soundtrack, but it looks so damn good you think they are. And they do it with famous people all across the world. But it's done, because I had asked somebody in here how they made those videos. And they said, well, they lay the soundtrack first. And I checked, and that's exactly what they do. It's interesting.
Well, this kid has a couple of YouTube videos, and he says one of them's got 1.8 million hits. So he's doing so. He's deciding whether to go on America's Got Talent because you have to sign so many forms and give up so much. He's not sure that he really wants to do that. Yeah. Anyway.
all right. Well, thank you for sharing that with me.
Well, it wasn't great, but.
Hey, Todd, back on your other topic, I just thought of this. Gavin Newsom just signed a bill in California that makes it illegal to use AI 30 days before an election.
Yeah, I can see why.
There's a Kamala Harris video out that was AI, and it's pretty bad.
But thank you, Mike.
Thanks, man. It makes sense, the whole world is just changed. It's scary.
To me, AI is like a tsunami coming at us. I mean, it just.
Yeah, Ron's voice today sounds AI generated, for example.
Well, he is AI generated. He's not really here.
He's an avatar.
I'm waiting for the hologram that walks in and sits down and starts talking.
Well, I don't have anything else. If anyone else, any other
real quick, one of the things I've been trying to put together is a series of videos on the SIGs, the various SIGs. One of the most challenging ones in my mind is this very SIG right here. Because it almost seems naturally that this would be the last one we want to talk about. Because you talk about taking photographs and inverting in nature, and studio photography and stuff, how to do the post-production. But then this gets, how do you put it all together? And one of the things I was messing around with was this AI video stuff. And I've just been tapping into it a little bit, but the concept would be, you have a magician standing on stage with his old black top hat, and he's throwing in pictures, and he's tossing in sheet music and scripts and the clapper, and all kind of other video production stuff. And then something magically pops out. And the whole idea was, you don't need a magician to do this stuff. You just need to come to the Multimedia SIG. But the idea would be, geez, it's so intimidating. It's almost like magic. If you come across anything, if you're playing around with AI video, give that storyline a thought and see what comes up. Like I say, the ones I've gotten so far are little 5-second or 10-second things that are kind of like, I did one of a woman being intimidated by all this media that she's got. Her eyeballs are bugging out of her head. It's like, no, that's not exactly the image I want to get.
There are websites where you could put your script in, what you just said to us, and it would generate a video.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily know they're free, but they are in existence.
Yeah,
I want to say Michelangelo, but something like that. It's some famous.
Speaking of
Right now, I'm only interested in paying $10 for Ashley's voice. I'm not sure about Chris.
And I got 2 voices for free.
What's that?
I said I had 2 voices for free.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Michelangelo, sorry to interrupt. Ken Burns has got a new documentary. It's the only one that's ever been done outside of the United States. It's on Michelangelo, and it premieres November 15th. When I was in Tennessee, I got to go to the opening day they recreated the Sistine Chapel at an eye's length. And then they've got little videos that you can cue on and things. It was pretty cool. It told the whole story of each of the paintings and the sections.
So are they models?
To stay out of the United States, could we just leave him over there?
No, that's good stuff.
He did it in collaboration with his daughter and her husband.
What was that?
Ken Burns did this, and his daughter and her husband wrote the script
Oh, I didn't know that.
for this. It's like a 4-hour documentary.
I can't believe that.
It's not GBR right now, they're showing it, it's sold out. But then GBR is showing it.
They are? Ken Burns?
Yeah, early preview is what it was. But it premieres on PBS November
Yeah.
18th.
I've seen him before on PBS.
It's hard to get these documentaries though, if you want to watch one, it's hard to find them sometimes. They're available, they've been made, but finding one to watch, somebody cued me, and there was a film festival in California, and the film that won was about a basketball team from many, many years ago when my wife graduated from high school. And they said it was this beautiful film. They went back to the old school where the gym and rotted and caved in, the banners around the floor, and they did this whole promotional. I said, how in the hell do I find it? I can find previews.
Well, there's a film festival in Tucson over the weekend called the Wild Bunch Film Festival. It's just Westerns, because Arlene sent something out about it. Because the movie that she and I and several other people were extras in, Lady Outlaw, was being shown there. So eventually it's supposed to be released on Amazon. But I'll be curious to see it.
Released on Amazon?
Yep.
Well, Amazon has their own TV channel.
Right.
Actually, if you want to find old videos or movies, Amazon's the kind of the better place to go. You can find them. I mean, you're going to pay $5, but if it's something you want to see, because I've
There's
just,
a lot of stuff there.
yeah.
And also Internet Archive,
Yeah, that's really good.
when it works,
Yeah.
they're being sued by everybody and their uncle, but they have just about everything.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to look at that.
When it works,
Internet Archive.
on the internet,
Okay.
it's Internet Archive. And then they have books. I mean, they bought an old bank building in Nashville or someplace in the South. And it's just full of people with book scanners, scanning every book that was ever printed. And then filmed. And they're being sued by book publishers and movie companies and I don't know if they can survive.
Bill, is that where you got your street scenes from New York of the old cars, the guys trying to cross the street that you showed?
I don't know, I don't even know what that film would have been. What film was that?
Oh, it was one you showed, black and white, obviously, from, I don't know, just, it was early cars.
Well, the only one I could think of would be the San Francisco one.
That's,
Oh, maybe that, oh, San Francisco.
Just before the earthquake.
yep.
I went down to San Francisco, went down Market Street
Yep.
with a camera mounted on the front of the car, and then dissolved that into just before the earthquake. That's the only one that comes to mind. And I got that from the Smithsonian. Because it was years ago, the way you preserve film was on what are called paper positives. So every frame of a film was printed on a black and white paper print.
Wow.
So, and these were all stored at the Smithsonian. So if you want to recreate a film from 1909, you take and scan every one of those prints and put it together into a film. And you had a movie. And that's where this San Francisco Market Street stuff came from, a paper positive.
Yeah, it came from the old flip where you flip the paper.
Well, it was kind of like that,
Yeah.
but not, it was just literally stacks
Yeah.
of prints.
Wow.
And you'd have to shoot each one.
And you had to shoot each one and register it. So it had to be precise from frame to frame so that it worked as a movie.
My first time at Disneyland, they had those things you put a penny in and you crank and watch it, you know? Well, I didn't know any better. I was from Alaska. I put my penny in and I'm cranking one frame at a time. I get done with the movie. I look up and like, everybody's gone. And I got lost.
By the way, speaking of cars, how many car busts do we have in the room?
Oh, somewhat.
Some, yeah, I know you are. There's a brand new museum that just opened up in Tucson on Prince called Rolling Through Time. And it's, Monica did a quick peek in because we're looking at that as a field trip. And they've got a restored, actually there's basically 5 galleries that they've got. One of them is a fire station with all kind of vintage firefighting equipment, the turnout coats and everything else. Another one's got farm tractors and industrial tractors. So there's a D7 cat dozer. I know Kevin will love that one. But it's pretty amazing and it's close by. It's only like 2 blocks away from the rodeo parade or the Wagon History Museum. The other news is that the Tucson Auto Museum is moving out to Sabino Canyon, just near Sabino Canyon on Sabino Canyon Road. So that cramped place they had before is going to be a little bit more spacious. So I think they're going to have about 5,000 more square feet display area. So 2 things fun for car bust.
Thank you on that. One last comment for my trip to Utah. One of the places I stayed was called Kodachrome State Park. Of course, you hear that, we think of Kodachrome film, we think of Paul Simon's song. it should not be called Kodachrome State Park. It should be called Sepia Tone State Park. It doesn't muster up to Kodachrome.
Pretty dull.
Yes, pretty dull.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you all for coming. Hope it wasn't too boring.
Yeah.